Now that we've seen how to draw some basic vector shapes, let's take a look at how these shapes interact with one another. Now, in the very beginning, I made sure that we turned object drawing mode off, and that means we're sitting in merge drawing mode. So let's see how this merging affects our vector shapes. I'm just going to choose the line tool, and I'm just going to draw a line straight across this rectangle shape that we made before. Now, so far, I haven't had any of my shapes intersect with one another. But if you've been drawing with yours, you've probably noticed that as soon as we have two lines intersecting each other, or a line intersecting a fill, it actually modifies the items that it's intersecting. I click on both of these fill shapes, and you can see that they're split in half. I can also click on the line segments on the strokes around the edges, and those are cut as well. In fact, even the line I just drew is broken right where it intersects. Even more strange, if I get rid of this line, I'll just select it and hit the delete key. I'll go back and click the fill, and you can see it's glued itself back together. This is the merge that we were talking about. Now, this also happens with fill shapes as well. Let me grab this fill that we made with the brush tool. I'm just going to change the color so that we can see the difference here. So I'm going to go up to my fill color, and I'll just choose a green here. Now I'm going to select that fill. I didn't double click, so I've only got the fill shape, and I'm going to drag it on top of the rectangle shape that we made before. When you have shapes selected, and you can see the cross-hatching, they're kind of in a suspended state where you can move them around. But as soon as you click away from it, we're going to see that merge occur again. And if I go back and select that fill and move it out of the way, you can see it actually cut apart the other fill and the stroke. We can see another kind of merging go on when we have two objects that are the same color. So let me grab this object over here. We've got that fill shape. Now I didn't double click, so I don't have these strokes here, and I'm just going to drag that over and drop it on top of our rectangle shape that we had from before. Once again, while it's selected, it's kind of floating, but as soon as I click away from it, it's going to delete anything it's on top of, which will be that blue stroke here. But since my two fills were the same color, instead of cutting them apart, it's actually joined the two together. So if I click on this, you can see that it's all one big fill. Now there is one more thing I want to talk about when we're dealing with this merge model, and that is marquee selection. I'm going to click away from everything, and our normal selection tool we can also use just by dragging around objects to select them. I'll drag around this set of objects right here, and if I'm not too careful, if I leave out pieces of an object, I'll just let go of my mouse cursor there, you can see that I've actually selected part of the curve that was inside the marquee. Once again, we're seeing it cut apart these areas, and I'm leaving little pieces behind. And that includes the top of this fill as well. If I grab what I've selected, I'm actually going to see everything break apart at those points, and I'm going to make a big mess out of everything. So just be careful when you're using the marquee selection. Now I'm just going to undo that change so I don't leave these pieces all over the place, and I'll click and deselect. Now there is one easy thing that we can do to avoid all this merging, and that is draw in multiple layers. As you can see, we've been working all in the same layer, and that's why each one of these objects interacts with each other. Now we will be looking at multiple layers in the next chapter, but for this chapter, I'd like to look at a couple strategies that we can use inside of a layer to keep this merging from going on. Now, I've never been that good of an artist, so I'm going to clean off my screen just by getting rid of a few of these squiggles here. I'll just do Control-A, that's select all, and that'd be Command-A on the Macintosh, and I'm just going to hit the delete key. And that way we've got a clean screen we can work with.